What's up, Ramley? How are my Ram super fans doing? I am the Ram super fan, aka the voice of the LA Rams, aka Nick Williams. Thank you for joining me today. We are officially at the close of the 2020 NFL season. So today's video is all about free agency. In order to really get into the free agency and free agents I want to see signed, we have to go through all the steps. First and foremost, we have to talk about the cap situation, which is very boring. I know. As a Rams fan, I don't really care about the cap. They managed to get it done year in and year out, no matter what the cap situation is. We always figure it out. Every team does. So it's boring, but just stay with me. I'll run through it really quickly. So the Rams are projected to be $31 million over the cap. That means that we have to shed $31 million before the new league year begins. To shed $31 million before the new league year starts sounds crazy, but please don't panic. We can carry over $5.6 million in unused cap that we had in this past 2020 season. So that's, an extra $5.6 million that just rolls over to the next year. So that'll significantly help. If the Rams keep Stafford's contract as is, we'll be paying about $42 million for Stafford's contract and Jared Goff's dead salary cap for 2021 season. $42 million. I know that sounds crazy, which is more than the $34 million Goff would have cost us if we would have just kept him on our team without obviously signing Stafford. But the Rams can restructure Stafford's contract. They can restructure his contract to go from about a $20 million cap hit down to a $5 million cap hit in 2020, saving us roughly $15 million. Trading for Stafford and bringing Stafford in and still paying for Jared Goff's dead cap in 2020, a lot cheaper than if we would have just kept Goff. It's crazy how this cap situation works because the cap can be manipulated in so many ways. Like I said, the Rams can restructure Matthew Stafford's contract. The Rams can restructure several other players' contracts. And we can always cut players. I know as a super fan, that I know you guys are. It's hard when we see a player come to the Rams. We accept them with open arms. Maybe it doesn't work out. Maybe it does work out, but we just let them go to save space. It happens all the time, and it's just, part of the business. But maybe we could cut somebody like an A'Shawn Robinson. He finished with 12 total tackles, 0 sacks on the season. I think if we were to cut him, we'd still probably owe him something small, but it would be a lot less than if we kept him on our roster. And there's a few other players that are in that same boat as him that, we could probably fare well with moving on. One issue with projecting the 2021 salary cap is a lot of these websites are going based off of a deal by the NFL and NFLPA. Basically, this deal states that in 2020, the NFL salary cap was roughly $198 million, and it was projected to increase the following year. But because we're all in a global pandemic and we didn't know how the season was going to shake out, they agreed that the salary cap for 2021 can decrease. But they did agree that it cannot decrease any lower than $175 million. And I get it. The ratings were slightly down this year. And also, the NFL lost millions and millions and millions of dollars in fans not being able to attend these events. So basically, a lot of these websites are projecting the floor. They are projecting the salary cap to hit $175 million. Now, if the salary cap does, in fact, hit $175 million, the Rams will owe about $31 million. I think they put that in place just in case we got 1, 2, or 3 weeks in, and then we had to cancel the season. Or, 5, 6, 7 weeks in, we had to cancel the season. That would have been a significant loss in revenue. So I think that's why they implemented that rule ultimately. We did, in fact, play the entire season. We didn't lose one game. We played an entire playoffs and a Super Bowl. So I don't think we're going to come in at the floor. I do expect it to decrease from 198 to something, but not the floor at 175. I'm just guessing here, but I would assume it would probably be about 185 to 190, which is still in pretty good shape. But I say all of that to say, don't worry. trust in Les Snead and the Rams front office. We get it done every single year. How many times has something happened, or we signed somebody, or we traded for somebody, and you said to yourself, damn, how do we have that much money? Where the hell is all this money coming from? I've said it every single year for the last 3 years, but somehow we always make it work. We manage to do so, and it works itself out all the time. So as a fan, I know we had to cover this, but I wouldn't worry too much about the salary cap. We'll be just fine. Think about it. In 2018, we signed Ndamukong Suh. We then acquired Brandon Cooks. We then acquired Aqib Talib. We then turned around and extended Brandon Cooks. We gave an extension to Todd Gurley. And we made Aaron Donald the highest paid defensive player in NFL history. Even though it was only for a day and Khalil Mack had to show him up the following day. But, we did all of that in 2018. I didn't think the Rams had that much money then. Then the following year, 2019, we go out and we hand Jared Goff a contract extension. Then this past year, in 2020, we go ahead and we extend Jalen Ramsey, we extend Robert Woods, and we go ahead and extend Cooper Kupp, all on long-term deals. I was left scratching my head, thinking, where is this money coming from? But it's there, and they always find a way, so don't worry. The franchise tag. Sometimes the franchise tag is given out, and sometimes it's not. Last year, we didn't give the franchise tag out to anyone. In 2019, we handed it out to Dante Fowler. This year, there's one player I'm very interested in to see if we give him the franchise tag, and that is none other than John Johnson. John Johnson was an integral part in us having the number 1 ranked defense, the number 1 ranked secondary. He was also a Pro Bowl snub. I was very shocked not to see him on that list, but I get it. He's not popular. He's still really young, blah, blah, blah. I just spoke about the cap space. Even though I told you not to worry, I don't believe we're in the position to hand out an extension to John Johnson at that position. But I believe we could potentially run it back for one more season. So therefore, it's not a long-term deal. We get him for 1 year. After 2021, he's off our books, and he's free to go sign a huge contract with someone else. Do I think it happens? Probably not, but I hope it does. The only way we get John Johnson on this team in 2021 is if we re-sign him to a 1-year deal via the franchise tag. It's the only way it happens. So I hope it does. If we don't give it to John Johnson, I don't think we'll give it to anybody this year. We'll probably just roll in like we did in 2020 without giving the franchise tag to anyone. But I'm very interested to see if we're going to give it to John Johnson or not. The reason why I don't see us signing him is because we do have Jordan Fuller back there. We do have Taylor Rapp back there, which a lot of people forget about because he missed a lot of this season with an injury. And we also got Terrell Burgess, which was a great rookie pickup. And I just don't see us giving that much money to a position that is so deep on our team. We have so many safeties that are starting quality safeties that I don't believe we signed John Johnson. I do hope it happens because I do think he is the best one of that bunch, but I don't think it will happen, and I do expect players like Jordan Fuller, Taylor Rapp, and Terrell Burgess to really step it up because they're so young. They're only getting better. So I think we let John Johnson go, unfortunately, when we bring those 3 young guys in, and they clean it up. And I think they do a great job. I really like them. So it's not something I'm necessarily worried about. And if we don't franchise tag John Johnson and we do let him walk, I don't believe that is a hole for us. I do believe we'll just go into the 2021 season with what we have. And I think we'll be fine. And I will be very happy for John Johnson when he hits free agency and somebody maxes him out and makes him the highest paid safety in the NFL, because I do believe that's going to happen. All right, now players that are likely to leave to free agency. I'm going to go through this. This will tell you about a lot of the holes we need to fill. I'm going to start with Leonard Floyd. I know a lot of you guys probably don't want to hear this, but I'm going to give it to you straight. Leonard Floyd will not be a member of the Los Angeles Rams in the 2021 season. And I know he played great for us. In 2020, he played all 16 games. He started all 16 games. He finished with 55 tackles, 11 tackles for a loss, 10.5 sacks, 1 pass deflection, 1 forced fumble, and 2 fumble recoveries. And in order to explain this better, I got to talk about a former LA Ram, Dante Fowler. Now, you guys all remember Dante Fowler. He was a good part of the reason why we made that Super Bowl run in 2018. We were able to bring him back on that franchise tag that I was talking about earlier. We brought him back in 2019 for a 1-year deal. In that year, he balled out for us. He ended 2019 with 58 tackles, 11.5 sacks. Both were career highs. He ended up testing free agency and signed a huge deal, a 3-year deal with the Falcons for $45 million. He ended the 2020 season with the Falcons with just 23 tackles and a career-low 3 sacks in 14 games. He still played the vast majority of the season. Safe to say, I think we made the right decision by franchising him out and then letting him walk. And the reason why I don't believe that the Rams should be paying edge rushers big money is because number 99, Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald will turn any average edge rusher to a $45 million man. And I do expect Leonard Floyd to hit free agency, test the market, and get that kind of money. Just not from the Rams. When you're playing on a line with a person that commands double and triple teams, you're bound to play the cleanup, man. You're bound to get sacks. Playing alongside Aaron Donald is like a running back playing behind the greatest offensive line of all time. You could plug any running back in that system with the greatest offensive line of all time, they're gonna shine. It's inevitable. Let's take the Raiders from the 70s, for example. A lot of people had the Raiders of the 70s as the best offensive line of all time. If not, they're in your top 5 somewhere. These guys sent Marv Hubbard to 3 straight Pro Bowls. Now, outside of those amazing 3 seasons behind that amazing offensive line, he didn't do anything. He was very mediocre. In fact, nobody even really remembers his name. And he's a white running back. And you know how the NFL feels about white running backs. And we'll come back to this topic later on in the video, so please stay with me. But I do believe the Rams let Leonard Floyd walk, and we easily replace him. Next is Gerald Everett. Now, Everett finished the 2020 season with 41 catches for 417 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown, and 1 rushing touchdown. And, just due to cap restraints, someone else will pay Gerald Everett significantly much more than what the Rams can. Running back Malcolm Brown. Malcolm Brown finished 2020 with 101 carries and 419 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns, 23 receptions, and 162 receiving yards. Those are pretty good numbers, for somebody who's probably 3rd on the depth chart now. But because of Cam Akers breaking out towards the end of the season and Darrell Henderson probably being the second string running back moving forward, I don't see us giving Malcolm Brown too much money. I wouldn't be surprised if he walked because, like I said, those are pretty good numbers. And I think somebody in the NFL could really utilize him. Defensive tackle Morgan Fox. Now, Morgan Fox played in all 16 games, but he only started in 2 of them. Because he's a defensive tackle, he plays behind Aaron Donald, he plays behind Michael Brockers. He's not going to start, but he was a phenomenal rotation player for us this year. Finished with 27 tackles, 8 tackles for a loss, 6 sacks, 2 pass deflections, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. Fox was definitely a bright spot and a bit of a surprise. He kind of played his way out of LA, I believe. He's going to get pretty good money somewhere else, and I just don't see the Rams paying up for a rotational player to sit behind Aaron Donald and Michael Brockers. My guy, wide receiver Josh Reynolds. I call him my guy because I've been kind of vocal over the last few years. I don't think we should have signed Brandon Cooks to that contract extension that I mentioned back in 2018 because I thought Josh Reynolds was good enough to be our 3rd wide receiver. We did go out and draft Van Jefferson. And I think the Rams want Van Jefferson to be our 3rd wide receiver. I really like Josh Reynolds. That's why I was very surprised that the Rams went ahead and took Van Jefferson in the draft last year. because I thought Josh Reynolds was our guy. I think Josh Reynolds is good enough to be the number 2 option on many offenses in the NFL. Maybe not ours because our offensive wide receivers are such a bright spot on our team. Robert Woods is criminally underrated, and Cooper Kupp is phenomenal. And then when you add in Tyler Higbee, it just kind of leaves Josh Reynolds as the odd man out, unfortunately. Now, we must keep one of these players. I'm very, very hopeful that we can manage to keep both of them, but we must keep one of them. I would not be surprised if one of them walks away. I'm talking cornerbacks, Troy Hill and Darius Williams. Let's start with Troy Hill. Our secondary was amazing last year. We averaged a league low 190 yards receiving. That's amazing. In 2020, where the league is as pass happy as it's ever been, and everybody seems to get a bunch of yardage, nobody could get yardage on that Rams secondary. Now, we have the depth at safety to lose John Johnson, but the same can't be said for our cornerbacks. Now, we already have Jalen Ramsey locked up for numerous years to come, but Troy Hill and Darius Williams were a very integral part in our secondary being what it was last year. Troy Hill started alongside Jalen Ramsey in all 16 games. He finished with 77 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, 10 pass breakups, 3 interceptions, returning 2 of those for a touchdown, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, and he returned 1 of those fumble recoveries for a touchdown as well. Now, Troy Hill is a special case. Troy Hill went undrafted in 2015. Then he was picked up by the Bengals. He played a year with them, in and out of their lineup as a rotational player, didn't even suit up for a lot of the games. At the end of that season, he was cut, brought on by the New England Patriots, was then cut after a few days. Then he was signed by the Rams. And he definitely had his fair share of struggles with the Rams. But he's improved over the last few seasons, and I honestly believe he took the next step to become a top cornerback in the league this year. Now, Hill played 95% of snaps for the Rams in 2020. 95%. That's more snaps than Jalen Ramsey, and almost 150 more snaps than Darius Williams. But I'm hoping the struggles from the beginning of his career and the fact that he'll be 30 years old to start the season will make a lot of teams hesitate on giving him big money. Now, that might just be wishful thinking for me because I want to see it happen. I want to see him back in that blue and yellow. Now, Darius Williams finished the 2020 season with 44 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, 14 pass breakups. Now, this was a breakout season for Darius Williams. He finished with 4 interceptions, but all 4 of those interceptions seemed to always come at the perfect time, right when we needed a turnover the most. And having a third cornerback as good as Darius Williams was just amazing for our Rams defense. And he'll only be 28 years old to start the 2021 season. And he is a restricted free agent, so the Rams will have the ability to place a tender on him or match any offer sent his way. I'm very confident that the Rams will indeed retain Darius Williams. I just hope we could get Troy Hill also. Now, I just want to run through a few free agents that I believe the Rams will keep, starting out with center Austin Blythe. He is a former 7th-round pick that really transformed into a great starter on that Rams O-line. And he could play center or guard. If you guys remember, he was our starting guard not too long ago. This year, he played a lot of center. That's very great to have a person that could switch from the inside to the middle like that. I'm very confident we could keep Blythe on a pretty decent-sized contract. I'm not worried about him breaking the bank. Outside linebacker, Samson Ebukam. He finished with 31 total tackles, 3.5 tackles for a loss, and 4.5 sacks. Now, Ebukam's seen his time skyrocket this year, but his numbers didn't do the same. I do still think he was pretty productive, and he's really always been productive, even as a rotational player. And even on special teams, he's always out there making a play. But because his numbers don't jump off the paper to you, I do think he'll sign a pretty team-friendly deal to come back with the Rams. And I do think the Rams are going to make it a priority to sign him with Leonard Floyd leaving. Now, tight end Johnny Mundt. I know this might be weird, but just Please follow me for 1 second. He only finished the season with 4 receptions for 53 yards. Yes, he only finished the season with 4 receptions for 53 yards. In week 7 against the Bears, Tyler Higbee didn't play. A lot of people assumed, oh, no worries, Gerald Everett will pick up the slack and we'll be fine. But the Rams love to play 2 tight end sets. So there goes Johnny Mundt. He finished that game with 3 targets, 3 catches, and 48 yards. He showed the ability to step in when Tyler Higbee wasn't playing and really get significant minutes and be very productive, catching every single target thrown his way. He only has 9 receptions on his career, so I don't believe he's going to command pretty much any money. I feel like the Rams can probably sign him for a very low minimum, but I do believe it has a high upside, as I do think he can replace Gerald Everett in this offense. Now, I do believe the Rams are very lucky this year because I don't think we have many holes. I think the outside linebacker or the edge rusher, yeah, it's always hard to keep up, whether they're defensive ends, whether they're outside linebackers. Let's just say edge rusher. The edge rusher is going to be a need with Leonard Floyd leaving. I also think the offensive tackle spot is going to be a need because this is most likely Big Whitworth's last season as a Ram. He's probably retiring after this year. And will Joseph Noteboom be good enough to take that spot permanently? Maybe. Maybe he will. Maybe he's not. But we should definitely get some depth along that offensive line. And I believe another area for concern is the cornerback position. If we do end up losing Troy Hill or Darius Williams, we have to replace them. So let's talk about it. I'm going to leave out the obvious. You know, like Shaquille Barrett, Trent Williams, and Brandon Sheriff. Those are guys I would love to see in LA. But the Rams just don't have the money. We really don't have the money for max players. This offseason is not about signing these big-name free agents. It's about signing the role players. Edge rusher Melvin Ingram III. He'll be 32 years old to start the season. He had 2 10-sack seasons and 3 Pro Bowls. But the years of Pro Bowls are probably in the past for Ingram. And a knee injury kept him out of 9 games in 2020. So I do think he could potentially sign with the Rams at a reasonable price. You know the talent might still be there. This one might be a bit of a reach, but edge rusher Trey Hendrickson. He's only 26 years old when he starts the season, and he had 13.5 sacks in 2020. He only had 6.5 sacks his first 3 seasons combined, so this was a big step up for him. Now, Hendrickson had the same amount of sacks as Aaron Donald, but this is kind of mind-blowing. He did it on 200 less snaps. Now, I'm not going to sit here and even remotely suggest or infer that he's anywhere on the same level as Aaron Donald, as he plays the edge. Aaron Donald, on the other hand, plays the interior, and he's constantly double and triple teamed, where Hendrickson plays with Davenport and Cameron Jordan. So he's never double teamed. He's always one-on-one on the edge. And he's also a rotational player in the Saints system. So when he comes in, he's normally has a lot of that gas tank left. He's probably going to be a little overpriced to sign with the Rams, but you never know. Les Need has done crazier things, so we'll see. Now, edge rusher Aldon Smith, he'll be 32 in September. Now, Aldon Smith isn't the same person that used to terrorize the Rams every year when he played for those Niners. And he only had 4 sacks for the Cowboys in 2020. But he did manage to get 50 pressures. Still, very talented guy. He did not play with Aaron Donald last season, but he finished the year with a Pro Football Focus grade of 66. To put that in perspective, Leonard Floyd, a person who finished with 10.5 sacks and played alongside Aaron Donald, finished the season with a Pro Football Focus grade of 69. So it wouldn't be that much of a drop. You can even see an increase of play. It could potentially be an upgrade. Now, he is an aging edge rusher that only got 4 sacks in 2020 and has several off-the-field issues in his career. So I don't expect anybody to be handing out big money to Aldon Smith. So I could see him signing with the Rams at a significant discount. Now let's talk cornerbacks. Cornerback Jason Verrett. He'll be 30 years old to start the season. He finished 2020 with 60 tackles and 2 interceptions. He allowed a mere 73.6 passer rating when targeted on a year with just huge offensive production. But he is an injury risk. In only one game in 2019, he suffered a season-ending knee injury. He missed all of 2018 with a torn Achilles, played just one game in 2017 before going down to a knee injury. In 2016, he only got 4 games in before going down to an ACL tear. Now, he did play most of 2020, and he played phenomenally. But due to his age and the fact that he has a long, extensive history that nobody can ignore, I don't see many people going ahead and backing the Brinks truck up to Jason Verrett. Center Austin Ryder, he'll be 29 at the start of the season, and he's a quality starter on a championship caliber team. He allowed just 7 total pressures, was not flagged for a penalty all season long. That's just, come on, round of applause to that man. That's impossible to play in the trenches and not give up 1 penalty all year. Hats off. I don't expect us to go after him unless we lose Blythe. So we'll see how that goes. Tackle Matt Feeler. He'll be 29 to start the season. He's played both left guard and right tackle. He has the ability to play both sides of the ball inside and out, which is extremely valuable. If Blythe is lost, Corbett can swing back to that center position and Feeler can play guard. Maybe Feeler plugs in at guard for 1 season, and then the following year, when Big Whitworth goes ahead and retires, you can stick Feeler right in at that left tackle spot. Now, linebacker Denzel Perryman is a very interesting guy. This is what you would call a run stuffer, but he's very limited in coverage. You could even call him a 2-down run stuffer, just how you have running backs that are 2-down running backs, like Adrian Peterson, for example. You can play him on 1st and 2nd down when they're running downs, but when it's 3rd and long, you don't really expect Adrian Peterson to go out for a pass, so let's bench him, let's bring in that 3rd down running back. Kind of the same way with the linebacker. When it's 3rd and long and you're not expecting to run, you're taking Denzel Perryman off the field because you know this is a pass him down. So because of that, he's going to be very limited in options because the NFL today requires linebackers to be able to cover. But I think he would be a phenomenal rotation player amongst our linebacker groups. I could definitely see him playing alongside Troy Reeder, Samson Ebukam, and Micah Kaiser and rotating in, especially in them early downs. Help that run game that run defense is already solid. He could just be the next piece to push that run defense over the edge. Now, I don't expect all the holes to get filled during free agency because there's still the NFL draft. Every year we go out in free agency, we sign who we sign, and then there's still a few holes going into the NFL draft that we hope to fill then. Now, the Rams are projected a 2nd-round pick. We did give away our 3rd-round pick this year in order to acquire Matt Stafford, but we are projected 2 compensatory picks in the 3rd round this season. One for Dante Fowler leaving us last year, and another 3rd rounder because the Lions hired our front office exec Brad Holmes to become their next general manager. So we're in pretty good shape for the draft, even though we constantly give up draft capital every year. We have a 2nd rounder. We are projected to get 2 3rd rounders, a 4th round compensatory pick for Corey Littleton, and a 6th and a 7th rounder. Like I always said, the NFL draft is only 3 rounds deep, and we got 3 picks in them 3 rounds. So I definitely expect to get 1 starter out of those 3, them first 3 picks. Hopefully we can hit on all 3. The Rams have had a history as of late of grabbing late rounders and really propelling them up. Like Cam Akers was drafted in the 2nd round, Taylor Rapp, Terrell Burgess. We've been drafting very well in late rounds, so hopefully we could definitely add some depth and maybe even a starter or 2. But yeah, I'm very excited about this season. I can't wait for free agency to come around. Maybe we'll do a look back video after free agency to see if I was right on anything, and I'm sure some of these takes are probably wildly off, so we could do that, look back and laugh. That'll be really funny to do. You know, Les Snead, Kevin Demoff, Sean McVay, they know what they're doing. Here's to a great 2020. If you guys could just like, comment, subscribe, do all of that stuff that they say at the end of the YouTube videos, I'd really appreciate it. Follow me on all my socials, Instagram, Facebook, And please, drop a like, drop a comment. Please let me know if there's certain players that you believe we won't re-sign. Let me know what players you think we will end up grabbing in free agency. And let me know if there's any topics in the future you want me to touch on. The draft is right around the corner as well, so I'm sure I'll be doing a video on that. This is the Rams Superfan, a.k.a. the voice of the LA Rams, a.k.a. Nick Williams, signing off. See you guys next time.